All right. Well, welcome back once again to the Tournament Podcast. This is Tom, along with my brothers Marty and Mike. And as promised, if you listened to the last podcast, we went through a list of 9 Hall of Fame defensive backs, and we had one non-Hall of Famer in the mix. Marty and Mike looked at the statistics. We ranked them 1 through 10. We unveiled them. And the focus of that was to see if the one non-Hall of Fame guy was getting screwed. And as it turns out, he was, according to the statistics. I knew that going in, but I wanted a non-biased opinion. And so, hey, we enjoyed it. So we're back today with quarterbacks. And I mentioned at the end of the previous video that we have 10 quarterbacks. This time, though, 8 of these gentlemen are Hall of Famers. 2 are not. I'm not going to say why I picked 2. Once Marty and Mike are done ranking these, then I will clarify why I picked 2. But anyway, the exact same premise. They're going to look at the stat line, rank them 1 through 10. If the 2 non-Hall of Fame guys finish out 9 and 10 on the list, then maybe they don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe I'm wrong. But if they finish, like in the DB list, where Ken Riley, I think, was 6th place, so 5th or 6th, then yes, give me a break. They deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So, without further ado, Marty and Mike have the lists in front of them, all the stats, minus the names, of course. And in terms of quarterbacks, I think there was 30, well, let me get this right. There were 36 DBs in the National Football Hall of Fame. And there are currently, in terms of just pure listed as quarterbacks, 26, only 26 quarterbacks in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's it?
So you gentlemen, yep, have 8 in front of you and 2 hopefuls, I'm sure, in the future. So looking at these numbers, you've got a little bit more to work with than you did with the DBs. Does anybody stand out as a potential number 1 candidate?
Oh yeah. To me, the individual with 272 games with that nice 65% completion percentage and the 539 touchdowns.
Yeah. I actually have that person already written down on my end as well as being number 1. So
yeah, that
and
yeah, well, that is any time where you're averaging over 2 touchdowns per 1 interception, that's kind of mind-blowing. So,
and then number 2, I actually went ahead and wrote down, at least for me so far, is the person right beneath them. Even though I'm not a big fan of that, those INTs. I have a feeling I know who that person is based on the games played and the number of picks.
You think that's a gunslinger type of a quarterback?
Oh yeah, it makes me green with envy.
Yeah. It definitely has the feel.
But just the 508 touchdowns, the completion percentage is 62, which is still impressive. And even the number of games, the INTs are high, but the number of games is impressive as well, though.
He's an Iron Man, whoever that is.
Oh, he is. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, and those are the 2 gentlemen with over 70,000 yards passing, at least in this list. So,
absolute gunslinger.
Yeah, this individual throws a hell of a lot.
All right. So, yeah, good picks at 1 and 2.
To me, the third, I feel like, would be between. I'm looking at passing yards a lot. However, there are some big discrepancies with games played, so that could have a
yeah, I should have maybe done a yards per game column too. I didn't think about that, but
and then also if you're talking about. I'm sure you have some people in here from the 70s.
I do, yep.
A little before the passing game was not what it is in this current day and age because of the rules and everything. But I would say the next guy, to me is probably, man, these two guys are almost identical. 242 games and 236. Or
Yeah, I was looking at the 242 just because the yardage and the touchdowns are higher. That's who I was looking at. But
okay. Well, then I think right under them would be then the how many games did that person play?
what, the 236?
236, yeah, would be number 4.
All right.
Let's see.
Are any of these? None of these players are active, I'm assuming.
No, yeah, they're not active at all.
I didn't know if there was any Chicago Bear quarterbacks on here. I was just curious.
No Bears.
Oh, okay. No, specifically an active one, not named Justin Fields.
Yep,
here.
Nick Folk is not on this list. All right.
Let's see.
This is incredible.
Let's see. So 5th.
I'm just trying to kind of get a quick glance at all of the.
Would it be the 234 that's third from the top?
Yeah, look at the list. You got only one guy left with over 60% completion. You've got 3 guys left with over 200 TDs. And you've only got one guy left with at least 2 touchdowns per interception. And then only one guy left with over 50,000 yards. They're all like different. So it's tough.
Which one were you looking at next, Mike? Did you say?
I said the 230. Oh, sorry, I had to mute real quick because I sneezed. My listeners didn't want to hear that. I said the third from the top, possibly 234 with 300 TDs, but man, and then the 51,000 yards. But
look how
the touchdowns to INTs.
Yeah, it's
man.
I mean, the person above them's even, quote unquote worse when you talk about.
So these are probably some of the old school guys with the lower yardage, the less games.
That's what I'm guessing too.
Since today is much more of a quarterback game where they protect them and.
Yeah, I mean the next. Let's see, we had. What about the very top? I mean, they have the second highest completion percentage on the list, and they've got that really gorgeous 2.0 touchdown to interception ratio.
I'm good with that. Yeah, I mean that's because my eye keeps taking me to like the touchdowns and stuff, but yeah, the touchdown to interception ratio of that one gentleman is bothering me. The 234. So yeah, the 192 at number 5.
Yeah.
All right.
Because like you said, the
a nice
pick percentage is neat.
This gentleman probably should be higher when I unveil the list, but you'll know why when you see it.
And I'm assuming, without giving a spoiler, was the inspiration for this list another individual that was possibly honored recently? And...
exactly. And I will tell you guys, now that we've got the top 5, one of the 2 non-Hall of Famers is actually in the top 5.
Oh, Jesus.
Neat. Huh. Okay.
Man.
This is like a double-blind study here for the atrocities done by these Hall of Fame committees.
And idiots.
They're being exposed here. Okay, so we have the top 5. After that, I'm big on the completion percentages, but again, that number's skewed if you're looking at quarterbacks from the 70s, even way before.
What the best left is the 192 with almost a 60% completion. And then next is the 181 with 60. But they literally throw one touchdown per interception.
Yeah. I can't put Bradshaw ahead of whoever is in here. Who do you think, Mike, for being next?
Well, that's 10 random guys, and I did different eras. Terry Bradshaw is in this list, but he's not who you think he is.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Okay. He's not who I thought he was, and I let him off the hook, apparently.
Well, from what I can tell, I know who isn't on this list is...
Well, obviously, Tom Brady's not on here because he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, even though he is, but you know what I mean.
Well, or that could be potentially. I'm looking for somebody whose stats are bizarre because I know just one person that popped out that is a Hall of Famer that is questionable, in my opinion, is Joe Namath. And at first I was like, I don't see anybody that's throwing more picks than touchdowns, but...
Yeah, Joe is not in the
bottom.
list.
Oh, okay.
Just to let you know.
Second from the bottom had potential to be him with the 212 to 210.
That person should be our last one, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
The second from the bottom.
All right, I'll plug them in last just to get them off the least.
So, what is that, 168?
Yeah.
Yep. So that leaves near the top 181 and 234. In the middle, 192, and at the bottom, 131.
I would say, damn.
What about,
it's coming down to where it's maybe, I mean, all the touchdowns and interceptions are fairly high at this point.
I'm thinking maybe the next could be the 192. They have 59% completion percentage, 1.2 touchdown, but that's kind of who I'm thinking.
It would either be that or that 234 is still in there. Because at this point, they all have high interceptions.
Those two could even be interchangeable, in my opinion. But
yeah, if it wasn't for the games, it's...
And the yardage is higher.
Yeah, because they played more games.
Yeah.
But either one of those guys, I think those two should be next, in my opinion.
I'm fine going with the 192 because the completion percentage 59 to 56.
Okay.
And then after that,
well, then if you guys are doing that, you have 2 left, and that's 181 and 131.
And then 234.
Yep. So 181 at the top and 131 at the very bottom.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to go with the 131 next, just because their touchdown to interception ratio was, much better.
I would agree, yeah. So 131, and then the 181 will be
would be
ninth, and then that 168 at the bottom then is last.
Yeah, that.
All right, the list did not work out the way I thought it was going to at all. Holy moly, did this take a turn.
This is interesting.
Yep, we will start to unveil here. I'm going to go ahead. You guys will see the full list. I'm going to unveil one by one to the folks listening and or watching. So let me find it here.
Now, you will be putting this in Discord in the order that we picked?
Oh, I am, and it is in there right now.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Starting at the very bottom. Again, this is just of the random QBs that I selected. You guys said the 10th ranked out of this group was Terry Bradshaw. 168 games. He had 212 TDs and 210 interceptions. Barely over 50% completion, but you know, I guess sometimes just being a part of championship teams, your stats can be a little less, and you get in. And no offense to the Steeler fans, and certainly Terry Bradshaw. I like Terry a lot as a player. I think he's fantastic in movies. He's freaking hilarious. I love him on the NFL pregame show, but those numbers are not the best. Let's be honest.
Nope.
Next,
Nope.
Dan Fouts comes in at number 9. Again, pretty much a 1 TD to interception ratio, and this rounded. So you're like, wait a minute, 254 to 242, 1.0. I just rounded. So
Yeah.
next up, we have Roger Staubach. Only 22,000 passing yards, but that was in 131 games. He had a very nice 1.4 touchdown to interception ratio. Next was John Elway. 234 games, 57% completions, 300 TDs, 226 picks, over 50,000 yards passing, obviously known as one of the absolute greats of all time. The gentleman that inspired this list above John Elway is Ken Anderson of the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, an absolute screw job. Once again, coming in number 6 on this list proves that the committee is there's a bias against the Bengals. And if you're watching this and, you've got your own team and, you don't follow the Bengals or the Hall of Fame, the Bengals have been around, I think, since or at least in the NFL, 1962, 1963-ish. We've got one player in the Hall of Fame, guys. One player in the history of the organization. How is that even possible? The Bengals are not one of the best teams in the NFL year in and year out, but my God, they've had a lot more than one Hall of Fame player on those rosters. So slightly above Ken Anderson was his nemesis in the Super Bowl, Joe Montana, who I thought would go in quite high. Equal games, a very, very nice percentage of completion, 63. Outstanding touchdown to interception ratio. Only the second guy on the list with a 2. Probably should have been higher on this list, but, Marty and Mike did what they could, especially when you see who they picked at number 4 ahead of Joe Montana.
Yeah, that's sobering.
Eli Manning, who was the second non-Hall of Famer, and I put him in here because I had a feeling Ken Anderson was going to go ahead of him. And everybody says, oh my God, well, not everybody, but a lot of media types, Eli Manning, he's a surefire Hall of Famer. I'm like, how's this guy a surefire Hall of Famer?
He
but
is.
If he's ahead of Joe Montana,
then
I guess he should be.
Rings.
Well,
That's
then,
the only reason.
But then I hope every single offensive lineman and every special teams guy is in the Hall of Fame too, because they have the same amount of rings.
Yeah.
Eli Manning, though, not shabby. Let's be honest. 236
No.
games, 60% completion, a very nice 1.5 touchdown to interception ratio, and he did crack 57,000 passing yards. So, yeah, really solid. Dan Marino comes in at number 3 with 242. He don't have any rings, but he's in. 242 games, almost 60% completion, staggering 420 touchdowns. 61,000 yards. What are you going to say? I was surprised at number 2. Brett Favre comes in number 2. Certainly an Iron Man, the only guy on this list with over 300 games played, 62% completion, only the second guy on the list with 500 plus TDs. Did lead this list in interceptions with 336. But the touchdown to interception ratio was not bad, 1.5, actually pretty darn good. And the second highest amount of yards, just shy of our number 1 guy, has over 71K. And number 1, you can't complain. I think in a lot of people's eyes, if it's not Brady Is the Goat, which, it is. And again, this is coming from a Bengals fan. Brady is the GOAT. Normally people think Joe Montana 2, but you got to think Peyton 3 if you don't think he's 2. And these numbers prove it. My God, 65% completion for his career. 539 touchdowns, only 251 picks. Yeah, I mean, a ratio of 2.1, and then almost 72,000 passing yards. Good Lord, are those gaudy numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So,
if we argue that Joe Montana could be second, then theoretically, couldn't we argue that Eli Manning is second all time?
yeah, or Ken Anderson, because he's
yeah, that's true.
What Ken's downfall is, I think, is just the 1.2 touchdown to interception ratio. But still, I mean, got to a Super Bowl. Actually, played very well, I think. And I guess I'm throwing out something, and I shouldn't even. I say things that I don't know factually, but I think he broke some kind of record in that Super Bowl. He had some kind of passing record in that Super Bowl. Actually, you know what? I don't want to extend this, but let's look that up.
While you're looking that up, I just wanted to add in, this is so interesting to not have the name and to kind of just look at it, with no bias. What I thought is very interesting, if you look at the bottom three, the 10, 9, and 8, they're all from the 70s and 80s, which, again, anyone who is a fan of the NFL, probably football in general, knows that the rules have changed significantly over the years in favor of the offense, especially probably over the last 10, 15 years, where, DBs, you've got your, the first 5 yards when you can, bump at the line. But then after that, it's really kind of you have to let the wide receiver release, and it was a much more physical contact down the field. And I think those numbers kind of are indicative of that. If you look at the completion percentages, the interception ratios, plus the game plans, and the darn offensive coordinators have become so much more creative and everything over the years. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to think too, take into consideration, since I did make this for Ken, that you talk about, at least he made a Super Bowl. So he got to the Super Bowl, I believe that was 1981. He was the NFL MVP in 1981. He was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 1981, and he was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 1981. So I forgot about what happened in 1980.
His mustache get knocked off.
I'm trying. I think he got hurt late in the season. But anyway, I don't want to ramble on. I should have had my facts in front of me, but and you can't. And he was a 4-time Pro Bowler. I mean, just all signs. He 2-time NFL passing yards leader. 4 times he won the passer rating leader. I mean, just awards out the wazoo. According to this list, he's highly ranked, yet he's not in the Hall of Fame. So, just like Ken Riley, another Cincinnati Bengal, a screw job. Hall of Fame committee, wake up and put Ken Anderson in the Hall of Fame. Good Lord Almighty, are you kidding me?
Idiots.
Morons. All right, so if you made it this far in the video, thank you, first of all. Please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the list. Let us know of any other screw jobs that you think, maybe your home team, and we can make a future video on that. But without further ado, we appreciate you guys as always. Take care, and we'll see you next time.